Do you believe in chance? Or do you suspect that behind the apparent chaos of daily life, there's a hidden intelligence trying to communicate with you? Often life seems like a random sequence of problems, bad luck, and meaningless coincidences. But ancient traditions and Carl Jung's modern psychology say otherwise. They say life isn't mute, life speaks, and it speaks a specific language, the language of symbols. The moments when we grow most in life weren't moments of luck. They were moments when we decided to see. They were moments when we decoded the message. But there's a problem. Life only delivers wisdom to those who truly desire it. There's an ancient Buddhist tale that illustrates this. One day, Ananda, Buddha's disciple, asked, "Master, why don't you deliver all your wisdom to people at once, to free them from ignorance?" Buddha proposed a test. He sent Ananda to the neighboring village to ask what people most desired. Ananda went, did his research, and returned excited. He said, "Master, half the people want more money and comfort. A quarter want their children to marry well. The other quarter want health and long life." Buddha asked, "And how many said they wanted wisdom?" Ananda lowered his head and said, "None, Master." Buddha replied, "Then how can I give wisdom to those who don't want to receive it?" Life conspires in our favor, but it responds to our real desires. If we want comfort, it gives us or takes away comfort so we can learn. But if we truly want to become human in the fullness of the word, life begins to display its most beautiful symbols. Today we're going to learn to read these signs. To read symbols, we first need to understand what a symbol is. The word comes from Greek symboline. Byline means to throw. Sim means together. Symbol is to throw together. Plato said there's a world of ideas, where everything is perfect. The idea of peace, for example. When this idea descends into our physical world, it needs a body. So we see a white dove. The dove and the idea of peace were thrown together. The dove is the symbol that unites the physical with the metaphysical. But to accept that life is symbolic, you need to accept a basic premise. The world is cosmos, not chaos. If you believe everything is random, that you're a victim of chance and bad luck, you're blind to symbols. Symbols are arrows. They point in a direction. If life has no purpose, there's nowhere to point. But if you believe life is an intelligent school, everything changes. The Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius had a theory of responsibility. He said, "Nothing happens to a man that is not proper to man." This means things don't get the wrong address. That difficulty, that annoying person, that recurring problem didn't land in your lap by chance. They came because you have an internal magnetic card that attracts exactly the experience necessary for your growth. If you need to learn patience, life won't send you peace. It'll send you lines, delays, and irritating people. It's not bad luck. It's pedagogy. Carl Jung, the great psychoanalyst, deeply studied the phenomenon of synchronicities. He defined synchronicity as a meaningful coincidence. It's when an internal fact, like a dream or a thought, and an external fact, something that happens on the street, cross paths without apparent cause but with the same meaning. Imagine life is trying to teach you something subtly. It sends small signals, you ignore them. It sends medium signals, you ignore them. There comes a time when life loses patience. It grabs you by the shoulders and shakes you. That's a strong synchronicity. It's life making an appeal because you were deaf. But we don't need to wait for the scream. Life whispers all the time. Look out the window. See a storm shaking a tree. It's violent, but it's beautiful. Nature follows Dharma, the universal law. Now look at a poorly built building by man, full of leaks. It's ugly. It's karma. Action done without perfection. Just by looking out the window, you had a lesson about the difference between natural law and human imperfection. Even a chair teaches. A chair has 4 legs for balance and a seat with generosity to welcome. If you, as a human being, have balance and generosity, you'll be as useful and necessary as a chair. The world doesn't leave pedagogical vacuums. If a moment had nothing to teach you, it would have already been removed from your life. How do we decode this language in daily life? There are patterns. Let's analyze 7 classic signs that life is speaking to you. First, repetitive events. You know that student who repeats first grade 5 times. He keeps learning the alphabet because he didn't assimilate the lesson. If your life has a repetitive pattern, if you always lose your job the same way, or always attract the same type of problematic relationship, this isn't a curse, it's an unlearned lesson. Imagine a woman who always attracts opportunistic partners. It seems she has a neon sign on her forehead saying opportunists. Come here, everyone sees it except her. Until she changes her internal posture, the external scenario will repeat in a loop. Your building's doorman sometimes knows more about your patterns than you do. Ask yourself, what's repeating in my life? Second, the people we attract. Once a student told me, "Teacher, I work in a room with 10 people and all 10 are annoying. What do?" I had to tell the truth. "My dear, you passed a cosmic test for annoying people, and you were proved. People aren't annoying to punish you. They're annoying because you need to develop tolerance, or perhaps because the only annoying one there is you and they're just mirrors. We hate in others what we sweep under the rug in ourselves. If you're disorganized and don't admit it, you'll hate disorganized people. Life brings what you need to see. Third, flaws and tests. Start viewing your problems as tests. If I called someone up on stage by surprise to speak, the person would panic. But if I warned beforehand that it was just a theatrical test, the person would do it calmly. Life is this arranged test. If you lost everything you had, perhaps the test is about detachment. If you were betrayed, perhaps the test is about self-mandep. Ask your difficulty. Who are you? Which flaw of mine did you come to sand down? When you discover the meaning of the test, suffering decreases drastically. Fourth, knowledge at the right time. Has it ever happened that you randomly opened a book and landed exactly on the sentence you needed to read, or someone sent you a message out of nowhere that answered your deepest question? Jung called these transversal connections. Life's lines tangle to make the message arrive. This proves you're not alone. There's an intelligence operating the logistics of information. Fifth, doors that closed in the past. Luis Fernando Verissimo has a brilliant text called Versions of Me. He imagines a man in a bar meeting all the versions of what he could have been. One version says it's him if he'd passed the soccer tryout and appears with a blown-out knee. Another version says it's him if he'd married his first girlfriend and appears unhappy. In the end, he discovers the best version is the current one. Sometimes we cry over doors that are closed, but if we look in perspective, those doors would have led us to abysses. Life's no is often protection, a positive karma that saved us from becoming worse versions of ourselves. Sixth, others' experiences. Sometimes life shows you your future through someone else's life. You see a friend make a hasty decision and suffer the consequences. That's a warning. That drama is yours too. Greek tragedies and Shakespeare's plays served this purpose, to live the experience vicariously so you don't have to suffer it firsthand. If you see history repeating beside you, don't be arrogant. Learn. If you don't learn through the love of observation, you'll learn through the pain of experience. Seventh, unexpected recognition. At the moment you doubt yourself most, someone appears and says, "Thanks to you, my life changed." This is a rescue synchronicity. Life is saying, you have value. Don't give up. It's a bomb, a fundamental warning. As beginners in reading symbols, we risk falling into fantasy. The ego loves manipulating symbols to justify laziness. I had a student who was unemployed and received an excellent job offer. He refused. I asked why. He said, "I went to the window and saw yellow butterflies. Butterfly is a symbol of freedom." I understood I shouldn't tie myself to a job. I smiled, but inside I thought, lazy, that's not a symbol, it's convenience. How to distinguish? The true symbol always points upward. It points to virtue, effort, courage, growth. If the sign you received points to comfort, cowardice, or escape, be suspicious. It's probably your ego disguised as mystical. When in doubt, choose duty and human dignity. Jung tells the classic case of the scarab beetle. A patient was recounting a dream about a golden scarab, symbol of rebirth. At that exact moment, a real beetle knocked on the office window. Jung opened it, and it was a scarab, something extremely rare in that region. He handed the beetle to the patient and said, "Here is your scarab." That shock broke through the patients. Rationalism and allowed healing. The mathematical probability of this is almost zero. It's life acting. I myself experienced something like this. I had a car stolen with my cell phone inside. Friends gave me a new phone, already with numbers saved. Days later, the phone, inside my purse, called a friend by itself while I was talking about her to another person. The luck, I was speaking well of her. The message was recorded on voicemail. It sounds like a fisherman's tale, but it happened. These are moments when life says, "I'm listening." Everything is connected. We can propose a dialogue. Are you going through difficulty? Ask life a question. With sobriety. Without hysteria. Without hysteria. Ask, what do I need to learn here? And pay attention. Observe dreams, hallway conversations, books that fall into your hands. Life will answer, and when it answers, act. Give feedback. If life showed you're anxious, work on anxiety. You'll see that the line that wasn't moving will start moving. Dialogue flows when you do your part. Life is pedagogy. If you refuse to learn, it's like tying an iron ball to your foot. To live is to learn, and life roots for us. Nature wants the plant to photosynthesize and the animal to survive. But from human beings, it expects more. It expects values, virtues, and wisdom. Stephen Pressfield, author of The War of Art, has a wonderful phrase. He says, "The Kabbalists believe that above every blade of grass there's an angel shouting, 'Grow! Grow, I go further.' I believe that above the entire human race there's a super angel shouting, 'Evolve! Evolve!' There's a cheering section in your favor. Life conspires for your growth. Learn to speak its language. Leave chaos and enter cosmos. When you realize you're not stepping on random ground but on a path full of meaning, the feeling of security and purpose is absolute. Lie speaks. Listen.